right, good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. Welcome to Pretty Little Lattes podcast, episode 7, I believe. Where today we are discussing dystopian movies.
All the fun stuff. Originally we were just thinking about doing like individual series, such as like Hunger Games, Divergent, all of those. But then we were kind of like, there's like only so much we could talk about when it came to each movie. So we were like, let's kind of like do a podcast where we just kind of talk about them all in general.
Yeah. So for people who don't know,
nope, you go. Oh my god.
It's hard because your webcam is delayed, so I don't know when you're talking.
Is it still delayed?
Well, because I can't see it on Discord, so there's the stream delay, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good point.
Which is unavoidable with what those setup. Anyways, so for people who do not know, dystopian refers, I don't have an actual definition pulled up, but it, as far as I'm concerned, it refers to a futuristic society that is like corrupt in some way, and like a lot of the world is like in ruins or something, you know, where there's like the government is in control and they've done evil things. Like I don't is that kind of how you would describe it?
I guess so. I just think it's like I don't know, like I kind of use dystopian and then post-apocalyptic like hand in hand, but I know they're kind of different.
But post-apocalyptic makes me think of like everyone's dead and there's nothing there and everybody's surviving on their own. Whereas like when you think dystopian movies like Hunger Games or Divergent, everybody's not dead. I mean, you know, not everybody's dead. And it's still like I don't know how to, this is hard to describe. It's still like a functioning society. It's just like corrupt. Here, I pulled up an actual definition.
Okay. Smart.
It says relating to or denoting an imagined state or society where there is great suffering or injustice. Okay. It is often treated as an antonym of utopia. Okay. So I guess it doesn't necessarily have to be futuristic.
Yeah, so I guess it's just like supposed to be the opposite of peace and tranquility, essentially. Yeah. So I mean, do all those? I guess like Hunger Games definitely counts as dystopian. Would Divergent be like? I guess so, because it's like the government's kind of like corrupt.
Yeah, no. Divergent is definitely one. So let's see. I'm trying to look up like a list of dystopian films, but like if I just think of dystopian films off the top of my head, I think of, you know, there was that one like period of time where everybody was obsessed with dystopian books and movies, and so like Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner, I feel like were the most popular ones.
I still kind of read those. Not gonna lie.
Hunger Games is really good. Oh, so I looked up a list of other dystopian books. There's like in movies, there's Ender's Game, which I don't really think of when I think dystopian.
It's been a long time since I've watched Ender's Game.
That one's a really good movie. Yeah, so I mean, those three are the ones that come to mind. I mean, there's also there's more that I know of, but they're books. They didn't get movie adaptations, such as Sissy gave them to me to read because she really liked dystopian movies. There was The Uglies.
Oh my god!
And then Matched.
Oh my god, no, Matched is so good. I think you would really like it. Like, should I change it from dystopian movies to just dystopian in general?
Stories? Yeah, because we're kind of I can't talk today. Discussing movies and books kind of in general. I mean, like, I thought maybe we shouldn't do books because, let's be honest, like, books usually aren't as well known as the movies. So I'm sure a lot more people are going to know Divergent and Hunger Games than The Uglies and Matched, but they're still really good dystopian stories. Although to be honest, I didn't love Matched, but I really liked the Uglies.
Did you even read Matched?
I did. I read the first book.
You read the first? Okay, it gets better after the first book. Okay,
things happened in it that just really irritated me.
I think I need to reread them because I remember really liking them when I was younger. But like when I read them, I was like in junior high, and like junior high, Kendra was like, "Oh my gosh, all I need is a love triangle, and I will be happy." So I'm
they love triangles. Literally every dystopian story has a love triangle. Like, what is up with that?
But oh my gosh, like Uglies though, like that, and I think they're actually they announced that they're doing a movie adaptation of that.
Wasn't gonna be Netflix doing that?
I don't know if it's Netflix, I know that I believe Joey King, so the girl who is the main actress in the Kissing Booth movies, she's gonna be the main girl. I need to reread Uglies.
It's been a long time since I read those.
Like, I remember the general, like, premise of it all. And I think that it's a really cool storyline. And I remember really loving the books. And our mom even read the books. And she loved them. So, and mom reads, like, a whole bunch of different type of stories. So, I feel like if she reads them and she likes them, they're bound to be great. So, I definitely want to reread those. But, yeah, when I think dystopian, like, books, like... So that's kind of like, yeah, Uglies I definitely think about. Maze Runner, which I think that's now also a movie series. Yes, they did do all of them.
Yeah, they did movies. So for Maze Runner, I really liked the first book. I never read the second and third books. I think I just got distracted because I wasn't disinterested. So I don't know why I didn't read the other books because I really liked the first book. But I hated the Maze Runner movie. Like, I hated it. I got so bored. I wanted to leave midway through the movie because I was just so irritated with the adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, like, the books were so good. I remember not really liking the third one that much. But I really liked the first two books. I remember, like, I could not put the first book down. Like, I was obsessed with it. And when I watched the movie, like, I love their casting for some of it. Like, the main, like, Dylan O'Brien, I've always kind of liked. The guy who plays Newt in it, he's in, like, Game of Thrones and other things. He's also a really good actor. And I liked who they picked for, God, I can't remember the other one's name, but, like, one of the other. Overall, I think that they did a decent job with, like, the casting of it, minus the girl. I really didn't like her. Like, I didn't like her at all. She was so boring. Oh my god, I just can't. And like anything that she does now is like ruined for me. I guess like I thought she was a nobody, but she was in some show called Skins, which I never watched. I thought maybe you had watched an episode or two. It was like the British version of Degrassi.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know, but like people have talked about it before, but like. She was also in, like, the latest Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and I just think that, like, no harm to, like, and I just don't like her as an actress. I don't think that she takes her characters, like, very well. So I feel like she kind of ruined it, because, like, it was such, like, a big deal in the book when, like, you know, the first girl arrives, you know, and I feel like she did not handle it very well, actress-wise. Which is, like, really disheartening because, like, I really loved those books. I also feel like they changed a lot. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what.
A while for Maze Runner, yeah.
I can't remember.
I do remember. I remember that it wasn't extremely different. Like, there was no huge plot difference or anything that was, like, major. But I remember, I think it was more, like, minor things and... Actually, yeah, see, no, it's been a while, so I can't quite remember because I only watched the movie once. Because it was so terrible. It was so terrible. If you've seen the Maze Runner movies and you're like, ugh, Maze Runner is terrible, read the books, please. The movies do not do it justice.
Also, the same author did another series that I need to catch up on, which I think you would like, and I think it's also a dystopian, if I remember correctly. It's, like, called Warzone, and it's actually about, like, video games. Like this one girl who like is a hacker, I think, into video games, and it's kind of like if you like Ready Player One, you're gonna like it. Would Ready Player One count as dystopian? I think so, because like their governments.
A good question. I mean, maybe because the real world in Ready Player One is really not great. It doesn't look great. So I mean, I would say that it counts. Because like the Oasis isn't a dystopian thing, but like the actual world that they live in is pretty
like they're
messed up.
Like they use the Oasis to escape. So I think it's like a dystopian series, but like they don't emphasize, at least like, I'm not going to say anything because like I just finished reading the second book, and I would say that's probably more dystopian based than like the first one, because the first one's like mostly about the Oasis. Oasis. I guess.
Neither of us can talk today.
And the second one does too, but I do feel like in the second one they talk about the real world a lot more. So I feel like that's definitely more dystopian. The second book is amazing. I will have to say, like, if we're talking about it as it is a dystopian, like, I loved the book. I thought the book was great. I thought the movie, I mean, how can it be awful? You know, like, I don't think that it's awful of, like, a movie, but I don't feel like it, like, they changed a lot of the trials in it, and so I didn't like them as much. I know that they probably were on a time crunch, but overall, I think the movie's not great. Those who, like, watch the movie, like, love it, and then, like, those who've read the books, like, don't like the movie. That's usually, like...
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Say is... Okay, when I think of dystopian, the two things that definitely come to mind are Divergent and the Hunger Games. I don't know if those are... I feel like those are also the most popular dystopian ones, too. Like, during that time period. I think that that's what everybody thinks of. I thought that the book for Divergent was way better than the movie. I didn't hate the movie. I really loved the actors in Divergent. I thought they did great casting. Yeah, the casting in that was great.
Turner.
Yeah. And then for Hunger Games, the book is really good, but I like the movie even more. So I think that Hunger Games has a better movie and that Divergent has a better book.
I agree with that. Like, I do think, like, the casting was good for Divergent, for sure. I like Miles Teller as, you know, what's his name? You know who Miles Teller is.
I don't, is that an actor? I don't know actors' names.
Yes, he's the guy who plays, I don't know if it's, like, it's not...
Four?
No, the other one.
Who are you thinking of?
He's, like, in the same, he was Candor, and then, like, you know, like, he kept calling her stiff, you know, like...
Oh, that dude! Yeah. Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know his name. He's so bad with names.
Like,
he is a good actor. He was in something else recently.
Whiplash.
Oh, Whiplash! That was... Oh my god, Whiplash was so good!
I know.
So I just saw that, like, a few months ago, and I was blown away by it.
Yeah, so, like, that actor is amazing. I always liked Shailene Woodley, but I have, like, a soft spot for her because I watched The Secret Life of an American Teenager, like, that whole series, and that's where she made her name.
And you cried at The Fault in Our Stars. Be honest.
That's true. Like, well, I read the book of Fault in Our Stars, and I was bawling my eyes out. I remember specifically staying up till 3 a.m. reading that book, finishing it, and I'm like, what? And so, like, when I went to go see it in theaters, I also cried. You know,
I remember just, like, chilling downstairs, and then you and Mom come through the front door coming back from the Fault in Our Stars movie, and you just come inside with tear streaks down your faces, and you're both, like, sobbing, and I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, so, oh, God, we could talk about romantic comedies, or...
we should definitely do an episode on that.
I don't know if it necessarily counts as a comedy, but, like, romance movies or something like
that. Just, romance movies in general, yeah.
Yeah, I will probably cry a lot during that one. When we talk about that.
Yeah.
But, so Divergent I thought was really great. Like, I was obsessed with the book. I read the book. I actually remember, like, in 5th grade or something like that, the author actually went to, like, all the schools around, and we had, like, an assembly, and she talked about her book. So that was the first time I talked. Yeah, so I never actually got to meet her face to face, and I was young, and I didn't really care. But I remember learning about Divergent, and I think that was, like, right when it came out, too. So I really liked the book, and I really liked the first movie. Overall, yeah, again, casting is great. The second movie I really liked as well. My only thing was, like, I didn't like that her hair was short. I mean, I kind of understand, like, whatever. Like, so Shailene Woodley, the actress, like, cut her hair.
Which, by the way, I'm sorry, I hate her short hair.
Yeah,
I hate it. I
think
don't
she
think it
could
looks
pull
good
off
on her.
the pixie
I don't
cut
think she can
very
pull
well.
it off. I like her with long hair better.
I mean, like, it suit her, like, character in The Fault in Our Stars, but I don't think it Trish was always talked about in, like, the books to have very long hair.
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry. Interestingly, yeah, like, in The Fault in Our Stars, I actually didn't mind her short hair. Which is kind of weird because, I mean, she's going to look the same in either movie. But yeah, I guess in the context of the movie, like, it didn't bother me. But yeah, when she had short hair in Divergent for some reason, I guess because I was already used to Trish having long hair, I didn't like it when she had short hair.
Like, well, it was like a big emphasis in, like, the movie, too, of her having, like, long hair because in Abnegation, like, they would all have, like, really long hair, and they wouldn't do haircuts very much, and they wouldn't, like, look at themselves in the mirror. So, like, you like, the beginning scene opening to Divergent is, like, her mom, like, cutting her hair and her getting to look at herself in the mirror, like, one time in, like, a year or something like that, you know? So, like, having long hair was very, I felt like, a part of the character. And so the thing with that is, like, Shailene Woodley didn't want to wear a wig, and that's why, like, she has the short hair, like, because she filmed Divergent, then did Fault in Our Stars, cut her hair short for Fault in Our Stars, and then she didn't want to wear a wig when she filmed the other movies. And I was like, but I didn't think that she said that she thought a wig would look really fake, but the wig that she wears in, like, the first 5 minutes of the movie, I thought was really well put. I just think it brought me out of, like, the movie scene. Like, I don't know. It made me feel like, oh, why does she have short hair? Like, they announce it, like, in the movie. They're like, oh, she just wanted to change or whatever. But, like, in real life, I know the reason why she isn't wearing a wig. So it just brought me out of the movie, which I did not like. The story for the second movie, I liked Insurgent. I would almost say, like, I think Insurgent is better than Divergent movie-wise. I liked the book Divergent better than Insurgent. So it's kind of, like, opposite. How about you?
I feel like up to this point, we've been pretty spoiler-free, but I kind of want to delve into spoilers. Is that all right? Can we do that?
Yeah, we could just put it.
Okay. Yeah. So spoilers from here on out, guys. For Divergent. So I liked Insurgent better. Unless, were you still going?
No, you go.
Okay. I agree that Insurgent was a better movie than Divergent. I liked the Divergent movie, but there were a lot of scenes in the movie that weren't nearly as impactful in the books. And sometimes they would cut things that ruined the impactfulness. So, for example, in Divergent, the book, and I guess a refresh for people who don't know, in the world of Divergent, there's, like, 5 factions, and they each have, like, their own belief system, and at one point they can switch to different factions, and it's supposed to be, like, a permanent thing. And so Triss switches from one faction to another. And this faction is called Dauntless, and it's focused on bravery. And it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous faction. And in the book, when she first arrives at Dauntless, she has to jump off of a moving train. And in the book, somebody jumps off of the moving train and dies, which immediately tells you, wow, like, they're not screwing around. This is dangerous. Like, Dauntless is dangerous. They cut that out of the movie.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
maybe it's a small detail to some people, but for me, it was a big deal because in the book, it was like, wow, there's death involved. You're dying. Like, it's dangerous. But in the movie, it's just kind of like, yeah, they jump out of a moving train and it's scary, but nobody dies. It's fine. Nobody got hurt. You know, so it doesn't really, like, carry the same kind of weight.
Like, I just, now thinking about it, overall, like, the whole movie, like, at least the first one, like, they really do, like, sugarcoat the danger and violence. Like, I don't want to say, like, the book's, like, insanely violent, but I would say it would be probably equal to Hunger Games. Like, that's one thing, like, I can't help but, like, compare the two, because, like, Hunger Games is not afraid to like show blood or show death or like how like dreary it is. You know, like
Mhm.
I feel like the director did a really good job, and we'll kind of touch more on that in a little bit. But I feel like I can't remember who directed Divergent, but I feel like they kind of wanted to make it more of a family friendly audience, which I get. You're gonna
Yeah.
sell more like tickets and it's gonna be open to more people doing it that way, but I don't know. I just feel like that's so annoying because like it's not, I don't know. It's like it was supposed to have dreary moments and it didn't really feel like it had dreary moments.
So I just looked it up. Apparently, Divergent is PG-13, which it did not feel like a PG-13 movie to me, to be honest. Yeah, I think they could have had even more things. So like another thing, a reason why the book is better than the movie for me is, for some things, it is hard to make book to movie adaptations because it is an entirely different medium. So there's something that happened that was worse in the movie, which is not the movie's fault. It is hard to translate it. It's where in the book there's this one scene, I forget her name, but Triss's friend, she like talks back to one of the instructors, and so they have her hang off of a ledge.
Yeah.
For I think like I think it was like 5 minutes or something. For like 5 minutes, she had to hang off of this ledge where it was like raining and wet, and she let go. There was a huge like chasm, and she like or like rushing water or whatever. She was gonna die if she let go. But the other option was that she could give up, but it would basically, if you give up, like you're sentenced to like homelessness, and it's just really bad. It's like you can't give up. She had to do it. She either makes it or she dies. And so for 5 minutes, she has to like hang there with the water dripping on her hands. She's like slipping, but she has to do it. Like in the book, it's really tense, and it's like, is she gonna slip? Is she gonna fall? Like, is she gonna give up? Like, what's gonna happen? But like in the movie, the problem is you can't spend 5 minutes watching a girl hanging on a ledge. So it's really fast. And visually, it's not entertaining because she's just hanging off a ledge. So it's a quick moment of her just hanging off a ledge, and it's not the movie's fault. There's just no way to make that kind of moment intense in a movie for me. But it was so intense in the book, so that's a problem. Where like the book was better because of it had these kinds of scenes that the movie just couldn't really like translate it very well.
I agree. I mean, like, again, spoiler warning. So in the book, which I'm glad they didn't like gloss over some stuff like that. One of their friends that they made like was falling really low. Like, so like if they didn't reach like a certain ranking or something, they were gonna be like thrown out, right? And so one of their friends, I think, like, not Will, I can't remember what his name was, but he was falling behind Triss in the line, and he was so scared to become factionless. Like, he and like other people tried to kill Triss, even though they were like friends or something like that. And like when she found out it was him, she's like, "Don't come near me again, or I'll kill you." And then he threw himself off the cliff into the like the chasm. Is that one?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what to call it.
I don't know, like the pit. I don't know, but like so he did, you know, end up killing himself because he was so scared to be factionless and because of how ashamed of what he was. So I'm glad that they like kept something like that in there because I think it really did show like how scared. Like that was one things I had to give like props to them doing, because like I can understand it being like PG-13 for that reason. That's probably one of the main things that like made it.
It's pretty dark theme.
But that's like, I feel like they should have kept that theme throughout the whole book, because it went from like that scene, which was a very like, and I remember like it was like they glossed over it really quickly though, like that happened, and then she was like, "Don't talk to me," you know, and like then it was like her and like Thor, no, oh my god, Thor. I was about to say Thor. Thor like started like making out or something, and I was just like, I feel like this is like not the time, but okay, you know, like they kind of like they showed it, which was good to like be in your face, like how scary Factionless was, but they didn't like really like divulge into that theme, which I did feel like was a downfall. And then overall, it kind of tanked. Like like the series like later on just got like Insurgent I thought was really good, and I was really excited for Allegiant, even though I couldn't read the Allegiant book. Like, I'm gonna be straightforward, I hated the Allegiant book. I couldn't make it past like 10 chapters. My dad couldn't make it past 10 chapters. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know if you finished the book, but I could not do it.
The first 2 books in the Divergent series, and then even though I liked the second movie, something about the second book, I just didn't care enough to read the third book. And I think I also heard bad things about it, and I'm like, I'm just not gonna read it. I think what I heard, the main reason why people hated the third book was because, I guess major spoilers, doesn't Triss die in the third book?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the main character dies, and so the book switches to the secondary character, and the rest of the book is like told from the secondary character, which like is weird because you have the first 2.5 books being told by Triss, and then all of a sudden 4 is telling the rest of the story.
Well, she dies at the end. She dies at
the end.
So,
well, I heard that 4 was also talking.
I don't know. I can't
one of the chapters in the third book.
Maybe he was talking at some point. Like maybe she ended up doing what some authors do and like do the switch perspective.
I think she did the switch perspective, and I think it just threw everybody off because it was totally random compared to the other 2 books.
For me, what I found was like, again, spoilers, like, so Triss's mom dies in like the first one, right? Her father and her mother die, right? And like her mother, like I can't remember in the book, but I didn't feel like she was very like a strong character. And then like after we learned that she like died, like the mom was a part of like the outside world, and they infiltrated like the city of Chicago, and they implanted her in like, you know, Dauntless, and then turned her into Abney. It was like this whole thing where I was just like, her mom did all that. Like, I found it really hard to believe. And that's
I forgot all of that.
And like that's what they were talking about a lot in like the beginning part of the third book was like, and I think they touched upon it on like the Allegiant movie, was like her mom was a part of like this group and everything like that. But I also have a hard time because like then that group ends up being evil. So I'm like, so what, her mom's supposed to be like a badass, but then like was a part of this bad group, and then she went into another bad group, and then she went into this. Like, it just seemed like a lot of like stuff was like her mom was great, which I'm not saying her mom wasn't great, but it was just so like thrown in your face. Like, I wish like it was brought up more in like Insurgent, like little tidbits or something about like her mom, you know, like did something like this, or like flashbacks or things that seemed more weird, you know, like it just felt like she was reaching, like the author was reaching for anything, and it showed in the movie. It showed real bad that it was like didn't make any sense. I mean, like, if we're going like into the movie, I thought the Allegiant movie really sucked. Like,
I mean, it probably sucked because it sucked because they didn't make the part 2.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a part 1, part 2, and like they only did part 1, and then they were like, it did so bad in the box office that they're like, we're gonna release the second one as a TV movie. And then Shailene Woodley's like, I didn't sign up for a TV movie, so she was like, you're gonna have to find someone else to play Triss. And they're like, well, we can't do that. So like they just didn't make it. And so like the movie is so like, it's left on a cliffhanger, and it was just so bad. And no one ever talks about Divergent anymore. Like, I won't watch the third movie because I remember it just being like so awful in theater. Like, it's just so sad to like have seen like such a good, like, the idea and the premise of the factions and everything was interesting. Really cool. Like, I think that idea, but like just the way that it played out, and the Insurgent was good. Like, in the end of the second one, they're like, go out into the world, you're ready, because Divergent people are like what we want, you know. Like, I just felt like they took like such a bad dramatic turn in like the third one, and like it kind of made me think of Maze Runner. Like, but at least with Maze Runner, like they showed like the outside people doing this experiment like were bad in the first movie, you know, like, and then kind of played it out. Like, it was very like oh, the outside world actually did this as an experiment, and like they're technically all bad, and they're all living happily while you're living awfully, you know, like, and it was all very last second, and I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it, and it was so disappointing to me as like an avid like Divergent fan. I remember when we went to go see the movie, we saw the midnight showing, and I got one of those temporary tattoos that looked like
remember
Tris's,
that.
and I put it on, and I was so excited. I'm like low-key cosplaying as Tris to go see this movie, and I was like, and I remember the day I got my wisdom teeth pulled out was the day we went to go see Insurgent. So, like, I remember, like, being so annoyed about my wisdom teeth being pulled out, but I was like, at least I get to go see Insurgent, and I really liked it. So it was like it counteracted my upsetness with getting my wisdom teeth pulled out with seeing such, like, a good movie, and then, like, the third one was just like, what the hell? Like, what happened?
The problem I generally have with, like, so I don't know how to explain this, but for me, I always am intrigued by the premises and like the setup of dystopian stories. So for like Divergent, like the first movie, I thought it was really cool. Oh, we're getting to experience all these factions. That's awesome. For Hunger Games, you know, the first two movies, you're experiencing the Hunger Games. Like, oh, this is exciting and cool. I love it. You know, I always really like that, but it's when they leave their confines, like, of what the premise is, that I get bored, because for like I did like Insurgent, but I never watched Allegiant because the idea of seeing what's beyond the factions, I didn't care. I just didn't care because the factions were what were interesting to me. I don't want to know what's going on with the rest of the world. For Hunger Games and Catching Fire, I thought it was so interesting. Mockingjay, I trudged through that book so slowly. I was so bored. Mockingjay bored me to death, which was so sad because I loved Hunger Games and I loved Catching Fire. But like once they left the Hunger Games and it's about destroying the Capitol, like I just don't care. I don't care to read about like the outside world and breaking free of their confines. Like, I don't know if that's just me, maybe that's just me, but I care more about experiencing the premise rather than trying to like destroy the premise, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, I personally liked Mockingjay. Like, I didn't like the first part of Mockingjay, but I did like the second part, like when they were going into the Capitol. I thought it was kind of cool, but again, that's when they started having like traps and everything like that. So it kind of like made it feel...
You kind of mimicked the Hunger Games feel, yeah.
And that's what I think made me like it. So now that we're like going into Hunger Games, I will just say, like, I loved Hunger Games. Like,
I loved it too. We love Hunger Games.
Oh my god. I remember seeing it for the first time. Well, I will say I went into loving Hunger Games, one, because I read the books and I liked them. Actually, no, I think I read the books after they announced who the casting was. So, quick little thing. So, I've always really, when I was younger, I had a real big crush on this one actor. His name was Josh Hutcherson. It was like, I was head over heels, like, fangirling over Josh Hutcherson to the point where I was, like, doodling Kendra Hutcherson in my notebook.
She had a poster of Josh Hutcherson, whatever his name is, on her ceiling so that she could go to sleep staring at Josh Hutcherson.
It's true. I actually had two of them, just saying.
two posters of Josh Hutcherson.
You know? But I really loved Josh Hutcherson, right? And so I remember, I think, God, it was, what grade was I in? I think it was like 7th grade. Yeah, 7th grade when they announced the casting for it. And I remember being on my phone in between like class, and I was just like, Josh Hutcherson and Jennifer Lawrence starring in the Hunger Games. And I was just like, what is this Hunger Games? But then I remember like a whole bunch of 8th graders were actually reading it for like one of their like reading classes or whatever. Like they were analyzing the Hunger Games. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Josh Hutcherson, have to read it because I want to like see this movie with Josh Hutcherson. And Jennifer Lawrence was like a nobody at this point, which is crazy to even think. And then they made Liam Hemsworth, you know, Gale. Sissy likes Liam better.
I love Liam.
I will always be Team PETA.
Liam over Josh Hutcherson any day. Liam. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna say something real controversial that nobody agrees with me on. Liam Hemsworth is hotter than Chris Hemsworth. I said it. Okay, I don't care. I don't care. Liam Hemsworth is way hotter than Chris.
Literally. Thor, God of Thunder.
So,
it's fine. Whatever. It's whatever.
Gale is hotter than Thor. Okay, like Thor, he's cute, whatever. But like Gale,
This is one of our big things that we disagree on. Is
everybody disagrees with me. Nobody agrees with me. I don't know why I'm the only one who thinks this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But I mean, like Thor, especially Thor Ragnarok. I mean, how? How can you choose Chris Hemsworth over Liam Hemsworth? That's
cute. Okay, to be fair, I think that, like, for me, Chris Hemsworth is, like, model hot, and I think, you know what I mean? And I don't think I'm, like, into the model hot. I kind of like the guy next door kind of vibe, and I feel like Gale has, like, the guy next door kind of vibe, like Liam has that, you know? I think Liam's, like, a different kind of hot that I prefer. I prefer the kind of hot that Liam is.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could agree to disagree on that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so like with Hunger Games, so Sissy and I have always been like, she's been Team Liam, I'm Team PETA all the way. I mean, I was Team PETA because Josh Hutcherson. But also because I liked PETA in the books more. Again, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen Hunger Games or read Hunger Games because we're going to be talking about it. But overall, like, the casting was incredible for Hunger Games. Like, what's his name? Who did President Snow? Was literally one of the best actors like ever. Like
He's really good.
I would say he was better than anyone else in those movies, and like everyone had amazing performances. Like, Elizabeth Banks as Effie was like amazing. Woody as Haymitch was great. And then Jennifer Lawrence, like, oh my god, like she was our
Jennifer Lawrence is great.
She was great, like, and she had no acting lessons, and she did Hunger Games, and I do really feel like everyone brought kind of that dark theme to the movies.
The grittiness.
Yeah, like they actually showed District 12 as it was, like.
Yeah, people, it looked terrible. Like, it was terrible.
Yeah, people not having food and like starving and like.
It was unsanitary. There's no food. The houses were all worn down. Like.
Yeah, like her having to go out and like, kill birds and squirrels or whatever to feed her family. Yeah, hunting. Like, they weren't afraid to show the nitty gritty about like how awful this world is for them in District 12. Like, and I think that's what is so different that makes Hunger Games stand out in comparison to any of the other movies we talked about, is like how dark it was in just the beginning. They showed all of that, and one of the things was, like you said earlier, like they weren't afraid to like show those dark themes and those dark, powerful like moments. Like when Primrose, her sister, was called as, the tribute, like, I don't even think they had any music playing at that moment. It was just silent. There was no music. And, like, they were, like, crying. And Jennifer Lawrence's face, like, was, like, destroyed. Like, oh, my God. Like, it almost makes me tear. Like, the first time I watched it, I was crying. Because I was, like, tearing up. Especially as, like, being an older sister. Like, having a younger sister. Like, thinking about that, like, if my sister was put into that situation, like, I would be, like, utterly destroyed as well. Like, so when she was like, I volunteer as tribute, and it was, like, she knew that she was gonna die. Like, in her mind, like, everyone knew, like, District 12, like, everyone always dies, like, in the Hunger Games. Like, that's just, like, what had happened because people from different districts were so much more prepared, for it. It was such a powerful moment. It was so powerful. Like, I don't know, like, Sissy, like, you were talking about, like, powerful moments in movies. Like, what did you feel? Like, did you feel like it matched the book pretty well, or?
So, there were things that were, I remember that there were things cut from the book in the movie, but they weren't detrimental. Like, they cut out small things for the runtime. like extra scenes with like PETA, things like that, which I thought were fair choices. Like it wasn't bad. So I think that they had a pretty faithful adaptation. I liked the movie better than the book because not the book again, the book wasn't bad. It's a really good book. I love the book. I definitely recommend it. I just think the movie went above and beyond. Because I loved the cinematography. So I know that some people it bothers them, but like in the beginning scene when they're showing District 12, it's very shaky and like quick shots. I know for some people like it bothers them, like it looks lazy or it makes them dizzy or something, but I thought it was really cool because it showed how like stressful and like unorganized. Like I just thought overall the cinematography was really good. The score was great, and the actors were amazing. Jennifer Lawrence is amazing. Like they did a great casting job, and like the visuals, like everything about it just looked so good. And so I thought the movie just went above and beyond with everything. I don't, to be honest, I don't have anything to complain about in Hunger Games. Like I think it's a perfect movie. Catching Fire is also really, really, really good. Mockingjay, that's a different conversation, but Mockingjay and Catching Fire are both really good. Like, we went to midnight premieres for both of them. Like, we waited outside when it's, like, 50 degrees outside for, like, an hour and a half to get to see this movie.
It was freezing cold, and she still got a Frappuccino, just saying.
I don't even remember that, but that's probably true. I like Frappuccinos.
I will always remember that memory. And they were like, do you want Starbucks? And you were like, I'll get a vanilla Frappuccino.
I like vanilla. Ew,
you got vanilla. You did.
I got vanilla?
Yeah, you used to get vanilla Frappuccinos.
What was wrong with me?
Because you really hated coffee. So you
did?
Yeah, you really hated the taste of coffee.
Wow, that's actually kind of surprising. I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, I changed her. It's fine. She likes coffee now.
Yeah, now I really like it. Now it's delicious.
No, but I agree with what you're saying. Like, Hunger Games itself is just like overall like a perfect dystopian movie to me. Like in a perfect adaptation to a book. It's like I wished more book adaptations were so spot on with how Hunger Games is spot on with that. It's also like crazy to see like when talking about like powerful moments as well, like when PETA, gets called and like no one volunteers for him, you just know like people are just like they don't care. And then he talks about like how his mom was like, finally District 12 may have a winner, but she wasn't talking about me, like it was like so dark and like realistic. And it was crazy too to like. And they went so over the top with, like, Effie and Stanley Tucci's character, like, who played the show host. I can't remember. Caesar.
Yeah, I love the actor for Caesar.
And just, like, they went so crazy over the top with District 1 in the Capitol, which is good. Like, they needed to, like, show, like, how dark and desperate these people were. Like, the flashbacks of, like, Katniss being so hungry and starving. Oh my god. I can't talk. It's fine.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah.
Sorry. I just remembered this one thing I saw where they were they were talking about, like, so I read some forum or some meme or whatever talking about ship names, and the ship name for like Gale and Katniss was like, I don't know. Like I don't even remember, but they were just talking about ship names. But then they talked about the ship name for PETA and Katniss would be Penis.
I know.
And I don't know. I guess I'm just really immature because that made me laugh so hard. I just wanted to bring that up real quick.
You just wanted to bring that up?
I just wanted to inform everybody of this.
I'm surprised that you don't like PETA and Katniss more so because of that is their ship name.
No, okay. I don't like PETA. I'm sorry. I don't like him. He's really irritating.
And you like Gale. Do you know what Gale does in the end?
I know what Gale did in Mockingjay, and that what he did was like terrible, and it definitely changes my perspective on him. But Peeta is like you have to make a really good what's the word? Like if you're gonna make a character who's I don't know how to describe him, shy and like reserved and
An introvert?
And not necessarily an introvert, but like scared and quiet, and like if you're gonna make a character like that, it's pretty hard to make me like a character like that because they just really irritate me because they don't want to confront anyone and they're just gonna hide in the corner and they're too scared to do anything. And, like it just really irritates me. Okay, so you have to do a really good job to make me like that kind of character. They didn't do a good job with Pete, in my opinion. I don't like him. He irritates me. He irritates me so much. I'm sorry, he irritates me.
Okay, well, I love Peeta, but I've always been, like, friends with people who are kind of more quiet or shy or something like that, and then I'm just the obnoxiously loud, annoying friend. So, I mean, I still have even more friends who are like me, but I'm just saying, like, I'm used to people kind of like that in some regards. Like, growing up, I had a lot of friends who were kind of like that, so it did not bug me.
I mean people in general. I'm just talking about characters and books and movies. It's generally really irritating because they're too passive for the events, because I like characters who are more assertive and aggressive because they get shit done and they keep the story progressing. But characters like Peeta, like they drag the story on and then it irritates me.
I disagree wholeheartedly.
We can agree to disagree. Oh I don't like Peeta. I don't like him. I don't hate him.
He's a better person
I will
than Gale.
In the second movie, I like him a lot more. I like him a lot more in the second movie, but in the first movie, he irritates me.
So does that mean you hate Rue?
I love Rue.
Yeah. So
to be fair, the first
okay.
You know, well, no, Rue is different. Okay, she's shy and quiet, but she's not like meek. Like Peeta's like meek. I think that's what I'm looking for. She wasn't meek. She was like strong and tough. I don't think I'm strong and tough when I see Peeta, okay? But Rue was, okay. I, like, the first 6 times that we watched Hunger Games, I cried. Because of Rue. Yeah. Just by the way, like, full on bawling, okay?
Overall, Peeta is a better person, though. You have to admit he's a better person than Gale because of what Gale does in the end.
Yeah, okay, I guess you can say that he's a better person, but, like, I don't like him for Katniss, because Katniss is already, like, kind of introverted, and he is really introverted, and they just kind of turn into a shy together, whereas, like, Gale's, like, assertive and out there, and I think he kind of, like, brings Katniss forward, you know? And I feel like they just... Don't bring up Mockingjay, okay?
Regardless, spoiler alert!
Throwing away Mockingjay, I think they're good together.
Spoiler alert, Gale, like, kills children and bombs them to...
Okay, so yeah, what happens in Mockingjay, which, okay, real quick, can we, like, please stop making... Let me know if I'm talking too much, Sissy.
It's fine. As long as we get away from just insulting Peeta, or I'm just gonna keep insulting Gale. It's fine.
Well, okay, so real quick, I just want to say we need to stop doing the 2-part movie thing. It's really irritating. They're milking it for the money. Okay, it doesn't work. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows made sense because the book was really, 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 really long. You could not fit that in one movie. So for Harry Potter, I thought it was great. For Mockingjay, it was a terrible decision because Mockingjay was already a slow and boring book, in my opinion. The first Mockingjay movie is terrible. It's so boring. We've only seen it once. I refuse to rewatch it. It was so freaking boring. There's no reason to split Mockingjay into 2 parts. Literally no reason. Anyways, so the thing that Gale did in Mockingjay was he bombed like a bunch of children in the Capitol to turn the but he made it look like the Capitol did it to turn the citizens of the Capitol against the Capitol's government, which is pretty because he killed a bunch of innocent children, and one of those, like, I guess she's not really a child, but like medic. One of those, she was a medic. That's right. She was one of the medics there helping the kids and stuff. He killed Prim. He killed Primrose, Katniss's little sister, and and he didn't really care because he was trying to do whatever he could to destroy the Capitol, and like, I don't know, it was pretty messed up. It was pretty messed up. So I get what you're saying, but like, I just like him so much better than Peeta.
I think that Peeta's a better person than Gale. Like, I don't think Katniss should have ended up with Gale. If you don't think Katniss should have ended up with Peeta, fine, but I definitely don't think she should have ended up with Gale in the end after he did that. And I don't think he would have. I think in the book she said that she like never talked to him again. I think.
Yeah, they never talked again.
I mean, like, I understand why she didn't talk. Like, killed, and like it was so sad. Like that one scene, really like sad. After that happened, and like they go back to like District 12, and the cat's there, Primrose's cat, and she like hates cats.
Oh my god, that was so sad.
So like when Prim had a cat, right, and like Katniss like obviously like did not like the cat. I don't think she hated the cat. And I can't remember the cat's name, but like when she went in and she saw like something of Prim's, and like the cat's meowing, like appears at the window meowing, like where's Prim? And then like Jennifer Lawrence, like I don't know how she has never had an acting lesson in her life, because like she does it so well. She makes you honestly feel like, because she's like shouting at the cat like, Prim's dead, she's never coming back, you like stupid cat. Like she like yelling it while crying and like bawling her eyes out, and she's not holding back, and it really makes you feel. And then she picks up the cat and like takes care of her, you know, like it's the last thing she has of her sister, you know. And it's just like such a powerful scene. Even though like I agree, I didn't really like the book Mockingjay as much as like the others. I still read it, but I agree that it should not have been a 2-parter. I think a lot of companies are doing that just to get more money now, which is real irritating. Again, Harry Potter was accurate because it was so long, and it was very two distinct parts in that book, so it makes sense.
And it's 2 different like kind of storylines. Mm-hmm. So it made sense to split it up. Whereas like Mockingjay Part 1, it just doesn't work as its own movie. It should have been like half an hour. Like Mockingjay Part 1 could have taken up half an hour, and then Mockingjay Part 2 could have been like the rest of that single movie.
Or they could have just had like a really long last movie, which could have worked too. I think that with like the whole thing, like in Mockingjay Part 1, like yeah, they could have sped it up, but there was also a part where like Joanna and like Joanna and Peeta were captured and stuff, so I think they needed more than 30 minutes, maybe like 45 or something, to like demonstrate, or they could have done like a couple months later or one of those type of things. I just think
that I mean, I don't even remember anything that happens in Mockingjay Part 1, and I still like know like the whole story, because Mockingjay Part 1 like added nothing to the story. It added nothing. It drabbled on. They inserted so many unnecessary scenes. They could have just taken the most important scenes from that section of the book and put it in as it could have made one movie. They didn't need to make 2 separate movies. They just didn't need to.
I think that they pretty much did that whole movie just to make you hate President Coin, which was like, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it did focus a lot more on President Coin. Part 2 didn't really focus on Coin a lot.
And so for those who do not know, like President Coin was like the leader of the rebellion in District like 13, in case you guys, or just a reminder. And like when they got back, like when they took over the Capitol and everything, and she was gonna be the one to lead everything, she's like, we're gonna do a Hunger Games with the Capitol's children. And you're like, you're not any better. Like, you're President Snow and a different person. Like, it's disgusting. And it's so the
same kind of power hungry, whatever.
And like it was so bad to like see like that. It was so disheartening. Like it doesn't surprise you though, because like President Coin was such a bitch. In my language. And like Mockingjay Part 1. And I think maybe that was like what they were trying to get across was that, and then they also were trying to make it like show like Peeta was getting sick or like being tortured, blah blah blah, and like him like being tortured to hate cat, whatever. Like that, I didn't really like that plot line either. Just in general, it felt like out of the way and like reaching. That was like one of the plot lines I was like, really. But yeah, President Coin, and then it was so powerful when like Coin said that, and like Katniss knew what she had to do, and at the execution for President Snow, instead of like killing President Snow, she shot the arrow right through Coin's heart.
That was a
instead.
really good scene. That was really good.
Great. And then
Yeah.
like oh my god, I still can't get over like how good President Snow, like that actor, like
Yeah, he was a great actor.
because like there he is like spitting out blood, laughing laughing very evilly. I don't think it's a word, but we're just gonna go with it because I can't say the other word for some weird reason.
Maniacally?
There we go. That's the right word. I swear I could speak sometimes. But while he's being like torn apart, like full on torn, because if you remember, like the people of the Capitol like run to him and they like start killing him like right there. Like they show like the mob mentality of like going against Snow because they think like he, you know, bombed the children. That was yeah, it's fine. But no, it was like that was such a powerful scene. Like all of it was just powerful in general. I just feel like they did such a good job with that series, minus the Mockingjay Part 1, which we do own, but yeah, I've only seen it like once or twice because I don't feel like I necessarily need to. Mockingjay Part 2 was actually a good movie. I thought it was pretty good. Maybe what they tried to do was like show so much about like, you know, the traps and everything with like oh my god, what's his name? Sam Claflin's character. Finnick. You know, like all of that type of stuff, like they wanted to focus on that. So maybe that's why they turned it into a two-parter, was like because they really wanted a whole movie dedicated to like those, which I could understand. They probably wanted to use up as much time as they could, but still I feel like it was just unnecessary and they should have just had a long movie.
Yeah, so I will say I don't like the Mockingjay book, and I don't like Mockingjay Part 1, but Mockingjay Part 2 is a good movie. I do like it. We've rewatched it. When we rewatched Hunger Games, we skipped Mockingjay Part 1. We watched Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and then Mockingjay Part 2 because Mockingjay Part 1 is just so bad. But I do.
Necessary.
It's just not necessary. It's just a bunch of fillers. So Mockingjay Part 2 is a really good movie. And I don't think that it really drags on at any part. So it is hard because I do think they did well with the time in Part 2. So I do see how like Mockingjay Part 1 like maybe has a lot of stuff to try to condense to fit into one movie, but like
yeah, they were probably trying to extend it for the second.
They could have just had a longer movie. Yeah. Or have an extender's cut or something. Like it just as two separate movies, it just didn't work.
I mean, I don't even know how long I feel like they could have had like an extra long movie. Like movie series do that. Like even some movie series that I don't even necessarily feel like they need to have ones that are super long, but I feel like what was it? Was it one of the Transformer movies was like 3.5 hours or something like that. It was crazy long, but like
that's long.
That's like a movie that doesn't really like those. That's a movie series that I feel like doesn't even need 3.5 hours personally. But I also I just like the first movie and that's it. The Transformer series. We could talk about that a different day. But like there's so many movies out there that don't even need like 3.5 hours, and that could have been, a movie easily done in 3.5 hours. Like if they really wanted to spend extra time. I do think like a big part of it was probably, they wanted more money, and they were probably making so much money from the first two movies, Hunger Games and Catching Fire, that they were like, you know what, we're going to turn the last two into a double parter and we'll milk it for all it's worth. And unfortunately, that's just how things are sometimes. Like, and I mean, they use that money to make other movies, which is good. But it just gets crazy sometimes. I just hope that I just didn't want them to ruin the integrity of the book series to do something like that, and I don't think that they did. I don't think they ruined the integrity. I do think watching Mockingjay Part 1, they do. It's a filler, so that's why. But the acting's still really good. And it does show the dreariness and the rebellion and people dying. It does really show the dark themes, so it didn't change. But are you even drinking coffee?
I know, I need coffee. I'm tired. Well, I'm also hungry.
Same though. But yeah, I can't even think. But I do have to say, Hunger Games is a great.
It's really, really good. Like we rewatched it recently after watching Divergent, and I remember we watched Divergent. And we're like, wow, like this is like a pretty good movie. Like I like it. And then we watched Hunger Games, and we were like we forgot just how good that movie was. Like it is so well done. It's really good.
Like I like the Divergent movie, and it looks like garbage compared to Hunger Games.
It does. Because yeah, Divergent is a good movie on its own, but if you compare it to Hunger Games, like it's not even close. Like Hunger Games is just, it's so good. The pacing of everything, and yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is just such a great actress. I really, really like her.
I think the actor is like named Francis Lawrence or something like that. I can't remember. They had the last name Lawrence too, for like the first 2 Hunger Game movies, I believe. But they did like,
what are you talking about?
For the Hunger Games director.
Oh.
Did I say acted? I meant directed the movies, but they did such a good job. They did like such a good job, you know, just making it dark and dreary like it should be. It's dystopian. Like if you're gonna have a
very
dystopian
dark
series, you need to show the dark parts and not gloss over them.
Yeah, Catching Fire was like hella dark.
Yeah.
You know, when they went to like the different like districts and the peacekeepers and like, oh my gosh, it was just
and it was like not afraid to be nitty gritty with it all. Let me see, like who? Oh, actually no, Gary Ross. Gary Ross did the Hunger Games. It looks like, and then Catching Fire was Francis Lawrence. Okay, so he did Catching Fire, so they were different, but I'm proud of myself for remembering that. Did I say Francis Lawrence? Did I? I don't even know anymore. I need food as well and more coffee. More cheap.
All right.
But overall they did great. And I think the books are great. And I'm excited for Uglies, but also scared at the same time. I'm excited to see more dystopian, but also worried at the same time. So
I definitely recommend The Uglies. That was a great book series. But yeah, I hope they can do it justice. I'm scared of them butchering it.
Nowadays I'm scared about movie adaptations. Like I said,
because they are all sucking.
Like I really did love, I do love the Ready Player 1 and Ready Player 2 books, but I do feel like even with like such an amazing director with Ready Player 1, I do feel like it was such a shell of what it could have been. You know? I
thought Ready Player 1 was really good, but I didn't read the book, so I hear that the book is way better.
Way better. It is. But,
way better.
You're so strange.
I know.
But again, so like if you are just excited to, you know, watch, you could read like the synopsis of Uglies, you know, and then watch and then wait like the movies, and then you'll probably love them. But I'm scared that I'm gonna like be a diehard fan of like the books, and then the movies are gonna be shit for me, you know. Like I'm so much more picky, you know.
It'd be nice to revisit dystopian stories again, because like Maze Runner and Hunger Games and Divergent, like they all came out at like around the same time, where like everybody was obsessed with dystopian stories, and I personally got kind of sick of it. I got sick of dystopian because it was everywhere, and I was like, I'm tired of seeing like these the antonym of utopia worlds. Like they're terrible and depressing. Like I'm tired of them, but it's been a really long time since there's been like a dystopian story released, to be honest. So I'm kind of excited to see Uglies, because you know I kind of revisit the theme of dystopian, you know.
Yeah, I may reread the books, but I'm not sure yet, depending on when it comes out. I actually don't know the date for that, but
I don't either.
I don't even think, because I think once they announced it, it was during the time of Corona, so I don't think that they've started producing it or anything like that yet. But I think that's all I could think about for.
Yeah, I was right. Uglies is coming from Netflix. It's coming from Netflix. I don't see anything about a date though.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't see anything about a date, but it is coming out.
I think it's gonna be a while. Probably.
Yeah, it's probably gonna take a while. Yeah, because of everything going on right now.
But yeah, when I think of dystopian, those are like the major ones that I think about. I know there's probably other ones, so we could probably always do like a part 2 and talk about different ones. But I think that's all I have to say when it comes to, those dystopians.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for attending, those who attended our Twitch live showing of this podcast. You could find us on all the socials, and you could put in any suggestions you want for a future podcast, either through our Discord channels, or we do have a panel down below on Twitch. And yeah, thank you so much for attending and listening, and we hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye.